I'm your host, Michael, owner and creator of Crossbow Hunters of Minnesota. Today's podcast is on ethical considerations in hunting. So let's just spend a minute and think about a time when you may have had an issue with another hunter in the field, or even maybe witnessed something that you disagreed with. I know I have, so I thought I would do this week's podcast on ethical considerations in hunting and what I consider ethical hunting. So the topics I'll get into here, I'm just going to kind of go through them in no particular order, but just to give you guys some food for thought on this subject. So I'll start off here with respect for your wildlife. Of course, we all have that as hunters, but this includes avoiding like harassment, ensuring that you have a quick, clean kill, not taking more game than you can utilize. And I see that quite a bit as far as like some people taking more than they can consume as far as fishing, but not so much in hunting. I haven't seen it, but so ethical hunters also strive to avoid like wounding animals, and of course we all make every effort to recover our downed game. We owe that to the game that we hunt. When you take a life, there has to be a level of respect, and I feel one of them is giving it your effort to make sure that you either had a clean miss or that you find the animal that you have shot. So as we go along in this podcast, you guys can have any comments about stuff, just throw it in the comment area and I will definitely answer them and get back to you on it. So the next subject is respect for the environment. Ethical hunters, when we hunt on a piece of land, whether it's public or private, we do not want to leave any traces of us being there. In other words, picking up all of our trash, or others. Sometimes I'll see something out there that isn't even mine. I'll pick it up and bring it back to the car with me and get rid of it. And try to avoid damaging the habitat, and be mindful of fire safety if you're camping and you decide to start a fire to cook on or whatever, or if you're out there hunting and you get cold and you start a fire, just be mindful of that fire safety. And as far as avoiding habitat damage, here we don't want to be cutting up a bunch of trees and just be mindful of what you're actually going to, how you're going to leave your footprint on that area. Respect for other hunters. Now this is a topic that's been a heated topic for years. Ethical hunters adhere to that, first come, first serve rules, which I definitely believe in wholeheartedly. When you're choosing a hunting location, you got to practice courtesy and avoiding interfering with other people's hunts. You pull up to, say, a piece of public land and there's a truck sitting there, and let's say there's a couple of paths going out of there and the truck is parked in front of one of them paths. I would assume that's the path that hunter went down, so I won't even go that direction. And if I'm not sure, I know it sometimes is really a pain to have to say, okay, let's go find another spot, especially after you've probably scouted this, or you're planning all of this to hunt there that day. But that's something that we have to be really conscientious of, because that can cause a lot of problems when you walk into someone's area that they're hunting. They've spent probably just as much time as we have scouting and determining, where to put their tree stand, maybe they've had trail cameras up there or whatever. You know, they work to get that spot to where they understand what's going on there and how to hunt it. So just keep that in mind too, you know. That way you don't interfere with anybody, you don't cause any hard feelings, and you know, you can still hunt that area when they're, you know, when they leave or whatever. So okay, so another topic is, you know, you got to respect landowners and non-hunters also. I mean, if you obtain permission to hunt on a piece of private land, always follow that landowner's instructions to minimize any impact on his property or livestock. You know, they're nice enough to open up their land for us to hunt on, and that is a huge gift as far as I'm concerned. To be able to hunt on a piece of private land, you just feel more optimistic going into the hunts that, you know, the game will be there because they're not as pressured and stuff. And it's just something that we all really strive to achieve, is getting that permission. So we definitely don't want to upset that landowner. And you know, along with that, again, you can use, you know, that environmental respect also, as far as don't be shooting up fence posts or, you know, any signs they might have out there, or anything like that. Also, we need to respect the presence of non-hunters when we're on that private land, you know, and try to avoid any actions that could be perceived as disrespectful or threatening. You know, always be polite, yes sir, no sir, and show the gratitude, I guess is what I'm trying to say there, you know, when you get that opportunity to hunt on there. So okay, well, let's see here, we got, I think too, another topic that I think is worth mentioning is the fair chase option. You know, as ethical hunters, we adhere to that principle of fair chase, which really emphasizes a sporting contest between you, the hunter, and your game that you're hunting. You know, so, you know, taking advantage of unfair, you know, circumstances, like for instance, some states no baiting, or hunting out of season, taking over your limit that you can take, you know, anything that comes down to, you know, don't be chasing animals down with your vehicle or your four-wheeler or whatever and stuff like that. You know, we all know that. Again, this is just to kind of refresh everybody's memory out there and get people thinking. So safety, that's a big issue with all of us too. You know, if we're not safe out there, we can really get hurt, or we could hurt others. So prioritize your personal safety, you know, and the safety of others, and that is super paramount. You know, includes wearing the appropriate safety gear. If you have to wear like blaze orange during a certain part of your seasons and stuff, be aware of that. I know like some of the ground blinds now, you have to have a certain percentage of orange 360 on that ground blind. You know, things like that if you're going to be in a tree stand, you know, I would suggest wearing a safety harness, and just, you know, be very careful when you go to get in your stand and get out of your stand. Those are usually two of the most relevant times that accidents happen for hunters that are in tree stands. Now, I know a lot of guys are saddle hunting nowadays, and that's a whole nother subject that we might tackle here in the future. I have never saddle hunted, so I don't know a whole lot about that. So that's a topic I'm interested in learning about. So we'll try to get to that here this year too. But, you know, always inspect your equipment too. You know, check everything over. Not only your weapon, your crossbow, but, you know, check your tether ropes, check your your climbing sticks, your stand, all of those things prior to using them. And be prepared for the unexpected out there. Try to carry some kind of a first aid kit or a stop bleed packet or something in your backpack with you. Throw a plastic whistle in there, anything that you have for safety, so if something did happen, you would be able to either control it or get someone out there to help you. I always carry my cell phone with. I turn off the ringer and whatnot, and then I've got that with me. I know that sometimes you're not in an area where you have a signal, so that's what's nice about the whistle, or whatever other kind of signaling device you can use when you need it. I think by adhering to some of these guidelines, hunters will contribute to a more sustainable way of hunting, and they'll maintain the integrity of the sport, which is huge now, because we've got people coming at us from every angle. I mean, they want to sell our land, they don't want us to hunt with certain weapons, they want us to just kind of tie our hands, and so we don't want to give them any reason to doubt the integrity of hunting. So the next time you're in the field hunting or scouting or even uptown, wearing your camo, which represents hunting, just be sure to be ethical. That's the main thing here, is just everybody use common sense and think about your actions and stuff too. So, but I want to thank you guys for firing up this podcast and listening to it. And be sure to check out some of our other podcasts as well on Spotify, or check out our Facebook page, Crossbow Hunters of Minnesota, and our website, which is Crossbow. Well, actually, it's CBHOM2 wixsite.com/mysite2. And we have our Facebook channel, Crossbow Hunters of Minnesota, also, which has more videos and stuff on there if you're interested in checking those out. So I'm just saying that, hunting isn't always about the kill. Discover the ethical practices, and something that will keep you hunting with respectable ethics and ensuring a stable future for not only our hunting but the wildlife and landscapes and things that we kind of talked about here. So, well, that's about all I wanted to mention here. I just wanted to get that off my chest. So until we talk next time, happy hunting.